Shalom, first and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory. How about Shimmy or Shaba Shimmy Kakadash? We give double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone who well and teach all sound doctrine, and peace and blessings to the elect. Now, as you can see here, you got this little article here, and it's talking about how rail strikes could lead to UK food shortages, with supermarket shelves empty, industry warns. So I think the chain of how this works, they get the shipments. They get shipments from different countries that bringing in like fruits, maybe fish, and a whole bunch of other stuff, and the freight trains. So that food gets put on freight trains, in the containers, because freight trains are big, and those freight trains get brought, I'm guessing, to warehouses, and then from the warehouses, you have the big HGV trucks that actually bring them to the supermarkets. Yeah. Anyway, despite not despite Network Rail working to prioritize national importance freight trains, like freight lines, I understand that there is a genuine risk the strikes could lead to shortages this month. And you know, just think about right now is I believe it's the 11th of June, and they're saying it could lead to you know major shortages this month. We ain't even got that much left of the month. And every time, just things have just been popping off left, right, and center. And as you can see, there's a supermarket. You got cereal, things that look like cereal and cereal bar here. Um, yeah, that's what it kind of looks like. I was gonna say this is juice, but I'll say they wouldn't have juice on this aisle. But anyway, supermarket shelves could be left empty if planned massive rail strikes go ahead at the end of this month. And the thing about strikes, it ties into really when the righteous bear rule, the people rejoice, but when the wicked are in rulership, the people mourn. Because a strike is basically when, for example, teachers go on strike. Now it's either an issue with the economy, or it's an issue with the working conditions. Like they don't like how much they're getting paid, or they feel like they're being overworked, or something to that degree. So they basically all decide to unionize or whatever. Although we have trade unions or whatnot, so under the authority of the union, they basically just take it off until their conditions, are kind of met, or they kind of meet somewhere in the middle. Because I remember when I was younger in school, all the time teachers used to go on strike. I used to wonder, what's teachers going on strike? What's this about? I used to get told, yeah, it's an issue with the working conditions or something. Either maybe the teachers want more money because they consider that they're underpaid and whatnot compared to doctors and accountants. Teachers really don't really make that much money when you look at it. Because I was thinking, like they earn like significant, like 19 grand starting salary, but when you compare it to the other top field, like other thing jobs similar, they get paid a lot less. But anyway, um, ministers were weeks ago privately warned by the rail freight industry potentially severe impacts from the biggest walkout in the sector for years, including supply chain disruption. And you notice whenever these things come out, like um you know what do you call it, famine of biblical proportion, famine, worst famine in years, well, I'm just using that as an example, famine of biblical proportion, so that tells you the severity of it. The worst this something hasn't been or this hasn't been seen for the last 10 years. We're starting to get a lot centered around this particular time, where they're saying, oh, the biggest stuff happened at this time, and it's spiritual that the Lord has it happening. No. And even people who see this, they're like, oh, this kind of thing always happens. When have you ever seen all these things happen at once? This don't happen. And this is gonna tie into the prophecy. I believe it's Second Ezra 6:22. Hold on. Uh, so okay. I was reading that chapter. Wait, second Ezra 6:22. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. And that's just another way of saying it. Because you used to seeing like these places full of food, but then one day you're gonna come and then you're gonna go to a certain aisle, for example, cereal. You're gonna go and you might see like 3 boxes of cereal on that entire aisle, or three, loaves of bread, or 5 loaves of bread, and you wonder, wait, I used to see this aisle full. What happened? Now, ultimately, it's all prophecy. Now, one thing is like a dominoes effect. One thing affects another. So you have an issue with, say, with Russia. They place sanctions. Stuff going on there. Now, of course, a lot of countries depend on them for like not only renewable fuel, but like oil. I believe Ukraine is a big supplier when it comes on to wheat as well. So you have to take into account. Oh, you're gonna have different things like that may affect the shipment, because you gotta take into account. You get stuff from countries like that, and so when you taking the shipment, if these like well, you already know the situation with some of the HTV drivers, but if you have these basically these freight train, like, basically, well, the drivers, if you have them going on strike, how exactly are you gonna get the shipment to the warehouses? Because those shipments are big. I don't know if you ever seen them. They're very big containers. So obviously, if they're all going on strike, then there's no way to get it from point A to point B, and those HGV trucks are just not big enough to do that. So if they can't get from point A to point B, then what could happen? They could end up rotting in the crates, or just simply stay there. Because if they are going on strike, then you got to really put into perspective how much food could go bad in a short period of time. Because especially if the temperature gets warm, like when you leave food out in a warm temperature, it tends to go bad, you know, faster than if it's in a cool temperature. And hey, we in summer right now, so the temperature more than likely is gonna be warm. Yes, like, let me start from here. Freight Lines understands that there is still a genuine risk the strikes could lead to empty supermarket shelves in the end of Salake in the week starting June the 21st. And look how that's like 2 weeks, right? Because today is like the 10th or the 11th, when 3 walkouts are scheduled. The strikes also threaten widespread travel disruptions during a number of major events, including concerts, test match cricket, and the Glastonbury Festival. Rail Freight Group Director General Maggie Simpson said on Wednesday that the pattern of strike action with industrial action on 21st and 23rd and 25th was as bad as it gets for rail freight, with disruption likely across the entire week and into the weekend. Even the plans that are in place, supply chains will be impacted, and it is really damaging to customer confidence in rail and to future growth, she said. We urge all parties to find a rapid solution to the damaging dispute. Now, Network Rail is just a normal rail company, but I'm talking about, in terms of general, because you gotta understand there's more than one type of train as well. Because you got trains that take people on it, and you also got trains that take cargo. Like you have planes that take in cargo, and some of those cargoes are shipments of food from different countries. Different shipments of other stuff as well. So if you have less drivers, then not only they losing money on, they could be losing money on the customers, but also they losing money on the food. And there's major food shortages because foods are not able to get to the warehouses, which means they're not able to replenish stock. And like I say, when you have a high demand for something but a short supply of it, the prices will skyrocket because there is a high demand for it, but there is a very few, so it becomes more valuable because it's a necessity. It will be the sector's biggest industrial action in a generation when members of the Rail, Maritime, and Transport Union at Network Rail and 13 train operators walk out on 3 separate days stretched across a week. Talk between Network Rail and the union are expected to be held in the next few days to avert strikes. Now, of course, they're gonna say, "Oh, we're gonna try go a different way, or we're gonna try and avoid this." But ultimately, what happens is, oh, the will of the Heavenly Father. Because, like I just said before, you have prices that skyrocket due to things that due to a few things being left in the warehouses that are now in the stores. You have high prices, ridiculously high prices. Now you only have a few people that will be able to have food. What happens then? You're gonna have people that are hungry. Say you're making something that they may not have any food, and they suddenly hear you making food, and what do you think they're gonna do? You think they're gonna wait around? No, they're gonna be kicking down your door, and it's gonna be, hey, it's either me or you, and it's not gonna be me, so it has to be you. I'm sorry, because people are gonna be like, hey, survival of the fittest. NR is also drawing up contingency plans, including a detailed strike timetable to identify and prioritize key freight deliveries like biomass deliveries to Drax power station. And like I just said, it's not only food, it's also other stuff. And like they just kind of implying here that they also ship energy. So you gotta think about energy. If there's a problem with the freight suppliers, like in terms of them bringing like these cargoes, no energy, then you gotta take into account. Wait, there could be an issue with energy all around. Certain blackouts. That's why like all these things are really starting to come together, man, and you can see it happening. Adversely affect the power station, while fuel supplier Puma, where I'm up to, Puma has enough storage to survive a 24-hour walkout. Now you have enough power to survive a 24-hour walkout. Suppose it lasts long. Suppose it lasts like, let's shoot a number. Let's suppose it lasts 2 weeks. It doesn't seem you have enough power for 2 weeks. Now you may have a backup generator, but the backup generator can only do so much. A backup generator can be overloaded, and official expectors and officials expect haulers and other operators to make up the shortfall deliveries to mitigate the impact at the petrol pumps. Now, the supply chain has already been, it's already took a hit, but the people we're not really feeling it yet. But hey, we could, due to this incident, if the Lord has this incident happen, like the strike with the drivers, we could very well feel it, man. There could be major food shortage over in the UK, among other stuff. Jake Kelly, Network Operation Director at Network Rail, said, "We are working non-stop to keep nationally important freight flows, including supermarket supplies and fuel, moving during strike operation, but understands the industry still fears supply chain disruption as freight lines are hit by walkouts from Network Rail signalers with plans for a 12-hour operating day on the rails during industrial action being blamed. The pattern disruption could be similar to that seen during port congestion in recent months, with businesses not getting products on time display stock, and fulfilling orders. No, people were like, oh, you guys are talking about food shortages for a long time, talking about this for a long time. I don't think it's gonna happen. No, you seen like a little prelude of it, because when something got advertised on the news, and I can say this personally, like, oh, we're gonna have a little bit of say toilet rolls or whatever, and maybe certain strategies in in the stores. Listen, there was people like you seen Black Friday. It was just like another scene of that, because people like, hey, I need this for my house. I don't really care about you. Yeah, let's see how much this article is left. Supermarkets may find it difficult to cope as Real often helps deliver products from warehouses to individual stores. Like I just said, they have an involvement with the food as well, which do not have the capacity to stockpile, was told. These products are often sent on long journeys, for example, the Midlands to Aberdeen or Northwest to London, that are difficult to replace with road haulage, a sector already suffering a driver shortage. Rail is also increasingly being used by supermarkets to transport goods. Tesco and even that Northwest, that's up me. So like certain time, like certain trains, if it's not Virgin, then it could take. I'm not sure how quick a freight train is, but it could take maybe 3-4 hours, or maybe over. I'm not 100% sure, but those are the trains. They take a significant amount of time longer than Virgin. Last year introduced refrigerated rail services to help deliver goods and reduce carbon emissions by taking 17,000 trucks off the road. In October, it said it would increase its use of trains to distribute products by almost 40%, crediting rail for helping keep shelves stocked during HGV shortage. Ministers were warned about economic disruption in two letters. I understand, Salakia understands there are also specific concerns about rural railways that are less likely to have modern signaling systems that need fewer staff to operate. This could affect freight from places like Peak District quarries that could have knock-on impacts on big constructions like HS2 or road building. So they're already giving an idea. So we need this to make these long journeys. And if we have issues with these, then they're gonna affect the supermarkets because they rely on us. Prime Minister Boris Johnson described the strike as reckless and wanton in the Commons on Wednesday, as Downing Street said that the government is working with the industry on contingency plans to mitigate the effects of the planned real strike. Now, the contingency plan is only going to be based on things that they can anticipate, but hey, we don't know what the Lord has in store, man. The retail sector is, however, not expecting the strike to have major impact on the supermarket deliveries, although it has acknowledged that if the walkouts hurt manufacturing, this could have impact down the line in stores, and it will be very quick, because when you actually look at it, the two are directly linked, because the stores rely on the manufacturing places to make the stuff, and then once they manufacture, they go to warehouses, and from the warehouses they go to the stores. If there's a disruption anywhere, it doesn't really affect the manufacturers, because again, like if there's a problem with the deliveries, I take that back, it does affect the manufacturers, because if I'm not mistaken, they get paid when their goods get sold. It's almost like a royalty, if I'm not mistaken. But it affects the stores because like they have customers who rely on getting this stuff, and if they don't get it, then not only major food shortages, but they're unable to make money in the store. It's just a whole bunch of knock-on effects. You may have to close your store because you're not generating enough money to stay open. It's just a whole lot of stuff. Andrew Opie, director of food sustainability at British Retail Consortium, said while use of freight train to carry retail goods has increased in response to both rising HGV operational costs and in order to cut carbon emissions, in overall amount of retail food and goods transported by rail remains relatively low compared to with the amount of transport trucks. Consequently, it is unlikely that the rail strikes will have big impact on the movement food and other retail goods around the country. Now they often say, "Oh, it's not really going to be that bad," or "We don't think it's going to have an impact," and then it does anyway. They literally digging their own grave at this point because they'll say something doesn't happen. I remember I was talking about it with I believe it was the brother of man. I sent him a screenshot, bro. They just said this 2 months ago, and they said, "Oh, this is happening due to this." But hold on a minute. I just thought you said that this wouldn't happen. That's why you have to stay circumspect and keep watching because it don't take that long for something to catch you off guard, and you don't want something to catch you off guard, man. That's why the scripture says, "Watch as well as pray," man. The Prime Minister official spokesman said that that including work with freight companies and and their customers to plan ahead to reduce the impact on supply chains. Labour said the proposed rail strikes should not go ahead and call for government to take a more active role in resolving the dispute. A Department for Transport spokesman said unions should be around the table helping to work out a fair deal for staff, passengers, and taxpayers instead of holding damage strikes, which will disrupt services and endanger the essential movement of freights. And really, these people are going on strikes because they're kind of sick of the work conditions. And the unions, it's almost like an in-work lawyer. So, it's kind of thinking that way. But unions, they usually they could be in the company's back pocket as well, because I used to work at a supermarket, and back in the day their union was in the back pocket of of the company. Now of course we know not to really put trust into these things, because we know they rubbing elbows under the table anyway, but hey, you gotta watch to see where this could lead to, man, because the Lord said what the Lord say, "I will break the staff of bread." Let's go to it. And I'll close out with it. I believe it's in Ezekiel. I brought this precept before, but it's a good one again for this lesson. And this is due to freight trains, because you gotta think about it. They can't, if they go on strike, then there's less trains being able to bring cargo to these supermarkets. Well, not really bring, if I'm not mistaken, they bring it to the warehouses, and then the HGV drivers bring it to the supermarkets. But still, they rely on them to get supplies. And now, if they can't do it, then you have to take into consideration that's a major hit for them, because they won't be getting a lot of supplies. And then they'll be saying to them, "Oh, it's because of this, it's because of that." No, the customers will be like, "Okay, fair enough, but we really just came here to do shopping. We don't really care about the excuse." Now Ezekiel 4:16. Moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, behold, I will break the staff of bread in Jerusalem, and they shall eat bread by weight and with care, and they shall drink water by measure and with astonishment. Verse 17, that they may want bread and water and be astonished one with another and consume away for their iniquity. Because when you have a short supply of something, now I don't know which direction the law is gonna take in, but like I said, when you have a short supply of something and demand is high, this is gonna lead to inflation or possibly hyperinflation, man, because the demand for it is going up because it's a necessity, but you have a very short supply of it due to other reasons. In this case, the distribution being that the way that they're getting here, because there's an issue. If there's an issue with the distribution, then there's gonna be less food, and less possible, fuel as well. But anyway, I just wanted to make that quick video, but I'll drop the link of the article in the description. Pray this lesson was edifying, and in closing, I want to give all praises and glory to Yahweh Bashim Yahshua Bashim Kakadash. Until next time, so one.